Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Boss Talks. Woo! Look, Joel, I even brought my streamers for all the people that are tuning in on our YouTube channel. Check it out. I have brought the props today, let me tell you. We are talking about lesson number 13 of the book Law of Success. And if you've been following our podcast over the last 13 weeks, we have gone through so many incredibly life-changing lessons that we really feel like this book is going to be a turning point in your life. And the only cost to listening to this podcast is that you share it with other people. And you probably get sick of us saying that at the start of every podcast. But we want you to help us get this information out there because it's so important, especially this chapter. Because what I see out there, Joel, and I don't know about you, we think that failure is a negative thing. Like we don't share our failures, we hide them, we beat ourselves up if we feel like we've had a failure. I've had a few personal experiences where my kids were feeling like failures at such a young age and getting anxiety around it. And so one thing that we've done in our household is we embrace the failures. We talk about the things that we get wrong in our day or the things that were not so good in our day, and we celebrate them at the dinner table when we're talking about all our favorite things and what we're grateful for. So we're really trying to encourage our kids to not be afraid of failure. Now, I was one of those people growing up. I don't know if the listeners can resonate with this. I was a perfectionist. I wanted to get 100% in all my tests, but I didn't. And I would beat myself up that I didn't. And I would compare myself to other people in my jobs. If I felt like I couldn't get a grasp on some of the jobs in my career that I've had, or if I've had to quit a job, I felt like a failure. I've had many different changes in career as well. I've had businesses. I've never had a business that's kind of lost money where I've had to owe money. But I've definitely had businesses where they've plateaued out or they've had massive success and then massive declines and then massive success. So every failure, though, this is what we want you to start thinking about today. Every failure is an opportunity to learn and grow. And nobody ever comes back from defeat weaker and with regret for going through that. It always makes us wiser and stronger. Wouldn't you agree, Joel? Like seriously, we've got to start seeing failure as a gift, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of people out there, compare themselves to these successful entrepreneurs or successful mums or successful whatever it is that you're trying to be successful as, and they think that they don't have to face failure. Like they're the ones that have probably faced it the most. And, because they've faced it the most, sure, maybe if they're at the top of their game, they fail a little less. But seriously, they still got to face it. I can totally relate to this, the perfectionist thing. I was so worried about not getting things right, and I still worked hard. I still did things. I still did well. But when I really had someone who's super intelligent pull this apart for me, I said, right, well, look at the good things that's created. That's created, you probably play at a high level. You probably play at a high standard. You probably, have had a really decent level of success. And then they also said, but has it stopped you from getting in the game? Has it how many opportunities have passed you by because you wouldn't take a shot because you're frightened of failure? And the answer was so many times. Did I not even swing the bloody bat because I was so worried about failure? And, in the book, it just says it sounds cliche, but you can just get this on so many, every time I hear these cliche personal development, things that people just repeat. Well, instead of like, letting that cliche stuff bother me, I'm starting to think, well, how many different layers can I go deep on this? Like, so temporary defeat is not failure, it's temporary defeat, and it's actually a blessing in disguise, because wouldn't you agree that you learn so much more from actually getting out there and having a go than you can from any book? Like, a really great saying I got from one of my great friends was, you can read 1,000 books on how to swim, but how will you ever know if you can swim unless you jump in the pool? Like, within reason, the best way to learn how to swim is to jump in the pool, right? And I don't know, I find maybe it's just my learning strategy, but I find that I learn on the job better than I do from reading the bloody training manual. But maybe that's just being a man, because we don't look at instructions or something.
Yeah, it's cool. And I wanted to jump in there while you're on this, because it's something that Brene Brown talks about all the time. And she's like, just get in the arena, get off the grandstand, get in the arena, get dirty, like get your ass kicked. And if you're sitting in the grandstands, not even like attempting anything, like, then don't you dare judge. Like, don't you judge us if we're in the arena giving life a crack and getting scarred and, marred from the dirt. Marred, is that a word?
It's something like that. Look, don't you reckon you probably have learnt more things from defeat that you'd never would have learnt had you, like, you couldn't have learned it in any other way. And he actually says that in the book, like getting, I say it in my way, like punched in the mouth by the market. Well, then that's just teaching you something, like you can, if you have a conference that you put on, or you have an event, or you have a dinner party and nobody comes, well, maybe that's just you learning that you need to be better at marketing. There's an opportunity to grow there. So, Christine, I could go on about this for ages, but like, honestly, had I learned to fail sooner, I would have been so much further ahead than I would be now. Now I just don't give a crap. I'm just going to swing the bat and believe that I back myself, that I can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it, and the listeners can do it, So like, when anyone asks, what advice would you give to your younger self, like your 18-year-old self? I'd say, like, make more mistakes more often and make them early. Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to get half the shit I'm learning out of the road now.
Fail as fast as you can.
Absolutely.
Just give things a crack. And so that we can relate a little bit to the listeners, I want to share a couple of examples, I guess, in my life where I used to perceive things as a failure, but they've turned out to be a freaking big blessing, let me tell you. So, I used to be married, and I would have seen that marriage as a failure. However, the lessons that came from that, we went down the whole IVF thing. We couldn't fall pregnant. We could have just beat ourselves up and thought, what a failure we are, but we didn't. And then went through divorce. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners have been in this, where you've had broken relationships. But those failures, perceived failures, which I don't regret any of that stuff that I went through, then led me to meeting my incredible partner I've got now, and 2 beautiful, healthy, happy children. So that was kind of like a blessing in disguise. Whereas most people go, you've had a divorce, and I'm not getting into religions and things like that. But you know what I mean? Like, don't stop beating yourselves up about, I've been through 2 marriages or 3 marriages, or I've had so many failed relationships, or, I've had to go from job to job to job. Maybe you just haven't found that right person. Maybe you just haven't found that right job that makes you feel fulfilled, or the right career path yet. Maybe the God, universe, it's got a higher purpose for you. Like, we just have to, I think, reframe these things. Now, I want to share with you, we actually need to learn how to fail for safety in some instances. Like, I'm a personal trainer, so I actually have to teach people how to fail in the gym so they know how to safely get out of maneuvers. Like if they're doing massive, big, heavy weights, I can't have those big weights coming down and falling on them. So we actually do a lot of work around teaching clients how to fail. Now, when I first learnt that myself, I'm like, oh no, you just go to the edge. You don't go past that. But how are you going to grow? How are you going to see what you're fully capable of if you don't meet that edge, meet that limit, and push it a little bit, give it a little bit of a nudge and go, oh, I want to see if I can actually get past that. So this is where we actually want to teach people how to fail. And it's a really good thing. And it's like in life. When you get to the edge of your life, when you're there and you're not feeling fulfilled and you're feeling really lost and you have no clarity and you have no direction, it's because you've stopped trying new things. You've closed off to the world. You've become comfortable. You're stuck in that dead zone and you've stopped growing. You're uninspired. You feel unappreciated and you get caught up in this little bubble and it's me, 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 me. And you've made everything about yourself. So what we want to teach you is get out of that comfort zone, go and learn some new things. I learned how to play the sax last year and oh my gosh, it was so frustrating. And every day I felt like I was failing, but every day, every lesson, I was getting 1% better. I was improving. And even though the improvement was so slow, I still saw it as an opportunity that I'm growing and I'm learning. And not only that, my brain is getting a workout. My brain, and I don't know all the neuroplasticity stuff that goes on in the brain. I wish I did because that would be so interesting. But just from learning a new skill, a new talent, or going a different way to work, it switches on the neuroplasticity, the nerves, your brain gets lit up like a flashboard when you learn new things. And your brain's a muscle. And if you stop using that, guess what? It's going to degenerate. So of course you want to be, having those electrical pulses going through it all the time, learning new things. Does that make sense, Joel?
It sure does. And something, like when something perceived as like bad happens or you fail at something, I want the listeners to really and go do some study on this. Go study the vacuum law of prosperity. Basically what that means is for you to put something new and better in a cup, the cup has to be empty. If you've got dirty water in the cup, you can't fill that cup with, I don't know, soda stream or, clean water. You have to empty it out. So if, I don't say giving up on anything like that because what we just said before, you haven't failed until you accept temporary defeat as failure. But if something hasn't worked out, well, then there's opportunity there. And what I really learned from, I'm going to quote him again, Andy Frisella, is he learned because he hated to fail. And I was like, same. And he's like, well, he loved to learn. So what he did is he attached the feeling of failure to learning. He knows he's going to learn something. So he's like, as soon as I fail, I'm going to go learn how to sort that out. So now failure doesn't feel negative. It feels positive because he's excited to learn something. So he's found out how to do that. So but to get back to it, the vacuum law of prosperity, really take a think about that, because if your life is cluttered with so much stuff that, and you got all these plates in the air and you're just busy and you're doing 10,000 things, when it feels like that and you're feeling overwhelmed, you got your hair on fire and everything like that, maybe just do a clean out. Maybe just, like a cliche way to do it that we hear all the time is if you knew you only had 3 months to live, would you be doing this stuff? If the answer is no, well then, I'm not saying cut it off straight away, but maybe start to think, how can I start wiggling this stuff out of my life so I'm not doing it anymore? What is your soul contract? What are you here to do? What's your purpose? What's your mission? If it's doing the crappy stuff that you're doing that that you don't like, then maybe it's time to start wiggling it out. And I'm not saying that everything, we don't all, I'm sure Christine and I can say that when we were doing 45 minutes of stairs, we probably didn't like number 32 in the reps, but we sure liked the result that it was getting us. So just keep that mind in that you're not just being a little bitch and quitting something. You know what I mean? Because there is this thing where people are using this as an excuse to quit. And I've literally seen it. And it's happening a lot in men these days. This is getting off topic, but this is happening with men a lot. They're using spirituality and all this stuff and be soft and all that to be freaking soft and give up. No, hit the gym, hit the track, do what you got to do, man up still. But, you know, the stuff that's unimportant and stupid, you know, like, I don't know, watching an entire weekend of Netflix instead of going and spending time with your family. I don't know what people do anymore. But Christine, yeah, what do you reckon?
I'm still back on the stairs because I just thought of a really good idea. We should make it habit that every time we catch up in person, we do a stair session. Good idea.
Yeah, well,
Let's
good.
hold us to that.
At the moment, you're not invited. You know, but yeah, like it's cool. I got a good place to do this on my property that you could kill me on.
Awesome.
But yeah, like it's like there's an amazing loop.
I really love what Napoleon Hill says is here. He says, I am convinced that failure is nature's plan through which she hurdle jumps men of destiny and prepares them to do their work. A lot of people don't know what their work is, but you know, we are here. We all have a voice. We are all put on this planet in this meat suit for a reason. And maybe it's not to globally change the world. Maybe it's not to be rich and famous. Maybe it's just to change the people within your household. But I love the way that is worded. And then it says, failure is nature's great crucible in which she burns the dross from the human heart and so purifies the metal of man that it can stand the test of hard usage. No man ever arose from the knockout blow of defeat without being stronger and wiser for the experience. Like, how cool is that? You know, we have to be thankful for the defeat. And we have to be thankful of other people's failures as well, especially if they're teaching on the lessons. And I feel like this is like, I've got a lot of mentors, Joel, and you're probably the same, that have never been to university. A lot of them haven't completed a high school certificate, but their life experience is what makes them so valuable to the community. The lessons that they've learned from the failures that they've experienced, or the defeats, or the school of hard knocks, if you like, that is what gave them their superpower. And so many of us have so many battle scars. We've had so many things happen to us over our life, or we've attempted things. And that's what society needs right now. They need you sharing your voice, sharing your experiences, because you don't want to, and not everyone is going to relate with Joel. Not everyone is going to relate with me. That's why we need more people out there sharing your story, sharing your lessons, because you're going to resonate with the people that are your people, that need to hear your story and your voice. And this is why we're so passionate about doing our podcast. We know that not everyone's going to like our podcast. We know that not everyone is going to be fans of ours, but that's not what it's about. This is about getting our message out there, because even if we can change one person's life, even if we can get someone thinking differently, challenging someone's thought process, opening their mind up to maybe a different possibility or a different way to look at things, then that's what gets us excited about doing this podcast every time, is just that one person that takes something away from what we're sharing. So we really want to start changing our thoughts around the word failure. And if you're a parent, we really want to make sure that our children never feel like failures. Like, that's one of my things, is I don't want them to get to their 20s and 30s and come to me and go, I never felt good enough. I never met your expectations. I always felt like I was failing. I always felt like I just wasn't good. I don't ever want my kids coming to me saying that. Like, to me, that's failing as a parent. Like, you know, we say that we love our kids unconditionally, but do we? Do we really, when we put so much pressure on them, when we're trying to live our past through them? No, we're not. I'm calling bullshit on that. You know, let's accept our kids for the beautiful, unique individual that they are. You know, and I want to share a quick story before I hand it over. My daughter, one of her friends at school the other day, and she's only 9, one of her friends came to school and she had shaved her entire head, all her beautiful blonde hair gone. And she just had this, you know, bald head. And so now she has started a chain reaction. Now my daughter wants to get half the head shaved. Another friend wants to get her shaved but leave the fringe. And I remember all these like trends going around in the 80s, you know. Now who am I to say to my daughter that that's right or wrong? Yes, you can shave your head. No, you can't shave your head. Like, what's the right decision? And I've spoken to a couple of mums about it, and most of the mums I talk to freak out about it. And I'm like, you know what? My daughter needs to learn her own lessons. I don't own her. She is her own person. If she wants to shave half her head and then cry for a couple of days, then who am I to take that experience away from her? That's my ego coming in. I know what's best for her. Is this making sense, Joel? Like, I feel like we need to really embrace our kids and let them make their own decisions and fail forward.
Yeah, I think it's something that I've, you know, right the way from the, you know, where you're saying you don't want your kids to come back feeling like they're failures and, you know, making their own decisions. I think it's a tricky sword to dodge, because there's certain things happening in the world right now that dad does know best. You know what I mean? Like, so at what point do we, you know, like, for example, another way that I could look at it, like, you wouldn't, if your kids came home and said, I want to eat chocolate cake all day and Zupa Dupas and all that kind of stuff, well, mum would know best there. So I think it's important, because there's some crazy stuff getting said, and I that can be my opinion. But there's some crazy bullshit happening out in the world right now, and there's points where dad does know best. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's also very important to let them make their own mistakes. We can't be like in cotton wool. Like, I know that I don't know if this has happened to you, but like Vicky and I were pretty young parents, and we had our son, and we've had 2 other kids as well, so up to 3. And it's funny when we have parents that are brand new parents, and they're coming in with the book and they're wrapping their kids up in the cotton wool, and then they're like, oh, got to go and sanitize this and sanitize this pacifier and all that. Meanwhile, they take a look to the left and there's like Jet licking the wall or licking the dog or something. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, you'll get it when you've had number 2 or 3, because like they got to learn that maybe licking the dog doesn't taste so good, and they got to make
I thought that'd be Leo for sure, licking the dog.
Huh?
I thought Leo would be the dog licker, but it's Jet, is it?
He is. He doesn't give one crap about it. Yeah, he does. But it's funny. We were out at a work function, and we're like looking around. We're like, this is at a restaurant. And we looked around. We couldn't find Jet. He was only a little fella, and he was licking the freaking floor. And I'm like, oh, man. But anyway, he's still alive. He's bigger than average. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that was really nutritious floor that he licked, but it's gross. But he made a mistake. And, you know, I think I've learned so many things, you know, from doing stupid things. And I think there's a lot of books out there and a lot of helicopter parenting. And I'm not here to tell anyone how to do anything, but you know what I mean? Like, if my kids have an opinion at school, I just go, okay, well, you got to realize that, you know, there's going to be consequences if you mouth off to the teacher. If you have an opinion that, you know, I'm letting them have their own battles there. You know what I mean? Like, within a respectful point. But yeah, like, that's it. That's what I do. So like, it was tough. Like, I didn't know whether to put the competitive spirit into my sons artificially. I wanted to see. So my first plan was just let it come through naturally. And now I'm probably thinking that I would encourage it more had I had my time again. So I do encourage it more. I know Leo doesn't want to do sport as much, but I'm still making him stick to it for a period of time so he doesn't learn just to quit. They just should come with manuals, hey? Like, seriously, we just do the best that we can. And I guess that really comes back to what you said before. Don't judge other people. Like, I hear things that, the way even Christine might do things, and she sees things that I do and we don't agree, but like to really criticize each other would be really having a presupposition that we know everything, and we don't. So yeah, let your kids fail. Let them scrape their knees. Let them fall off bikes. Let them fall out of trees. Like, do that kind of stuff. But maybe don't let them jump off a bridge. That's probably too high.
Yeah, totally. Like, when it comes down to safety, definitely, like, we want to protect them from that kind of stuff. But yeah, like, let them make some mistakes, and something that Dr. Shafali said last week was, the greatest gift we can give our children is an emotionally healed parent. Like, so often we're basing our fears and we're holding our kids back in life because we're basing on our own experience, something that's happened to us and shook us up when we were younger. So, we don't have to keep passing those fears on through the generations. Okay. We don't have to do that. Like, let's heal ourselves from some of the stuff that happened to us in the past. And I like what he said in here, where he said that if you can survive failure or defeat and keep on trying, it gives you the chance to prove your ability to rise to the heights of achievement in your chosen field of endeavor. Like, how many people have been in a job, or how many people, like, Joel, we've been part of network marketing, like, how many people you see come in and they quit before that first big paycheck? Like, they give up because they lose belief and they feel like they're failures. And he says in here, no one has the right to brand you as a failure except for yourself. Like, you're the only person that can tell you if you're failing or not. Nobody else. So take your power back. Like, don't let anybody judge you. They don't know you. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So you just keep doing you. Just keep showing up. Keep showing up as your best self, looking for that improvement, that never-ending continual improvement. And what he says in here is, who of us has not seen off days when everything seemed to go wrong? And then these are the days when we see only the flat side of the great wheel of life, and after these off days, there's always days that bring us joy, but I meet some people, Joel, that their morning, like, something happens in their morning and they write the rest of the day off. Oh, I knew it was going to be one of those days. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. Has anyone ever met those people? But what if you had something happen to you that was unexpected in the morning that you saw as a failure or one of these off days, but you said to it, you know what? You're not going to take me out. You're not going to take me out today, or I'm not going to let this kill my vibe, or I'm not going to let this affect me today. This is still going to be one of the best days in my life again. Like, imagine if you just turned up with that attitude and see what happens. See what happens to your energy. See what happens to your demeanor, your mood, when you show up in the world with that sort of optimism, rather than going, oh my God, I knew this was going to happen. Oh, yep. Oh, here's the third thing. Things happen in threes. I knew that was going to happen. And then all of a sudden your bad day turns into a bad week, turns into a bad month, and you're on that downward spiral. So we don't want that for you guys. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover, Joel.
When that bad thing happens in the morning, go in and have a cold shower or something like that, or and for those who are frightened of cold showers, I remember reading Mel Robbins's book, and she said that putting your entire arm under the cold shower has like 85% the same shock value as jumping under totally. So if you're a wuss like that and you can't handle the cold, just you can do that. But just do something that shakes it up. Like, I don't know, my mum used to do something just crazy. And you'd be like, I used to be like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, well, I'm either going to laugh or cry. So I chose laughing. So that's what she does. But, you know, and I love what you said. No failure until you accept a temporary defeat as failure. And no one has the right to call you a failure or to brand you as one. You know, like they don't even know what's going on in your life. Most of the time, they're armchair people saying that. But the funny thing is, it's funny how it all works out for the best, right? So there's been some businesses in my life that I've worked on, and they've either like haven't eventuated. I didn't launch them, but I did a lot of learning in it, even to the point where I'm not even coaching and consulting at the same amount as I was before, because I'm moving into a different industry, and I've got another business that I'm working on. And it's funny, all the skills that I got in coaching, I was thinking like, wow, I've done all that work. I'm really great at it. My clients get amazing results, and I'm just going to throw it all away. I'm not going to be using it as much as I was. And it's brought amazing things into my life, amazing people into my life. I'm like, wow, okay. So I basically accepted that that's just the way it was, until I was on the phone with a business mentor of mine, and I'm working out how to have a world-class culture inside my business. I want people to be begging to work for me because it's just so amazing in there. I want to build people of character in my business. I'm talking about it, and this guy's an expert at this. And he goes, well, you do realize that the statistics across all industries and businesses show that a CEO that spends 50% of their time, or a managing director that spends 50% of their time working on people, like they do 2.5 times better than the businesses that don't. And he says that most businesses don't do it because it's not a tangible thing. They can't see it. And I'm thinking, wow, like, you know, it's not the same as hiring a salesperson. You can quantify that. And it's like, so now I'm thinking, wow, like I'm an in-house business and like life coach and success coach inside my own business. And that's what I'm really great at. And so do you see what I'm getting at? Like where you're sort of like closing the door on one thing and you're thinking, well, geez, am I failing by quitting this? Well, maybe you're in the middle of that right now. Maybe you've learned all these skills and it's just going to become so amazing for your next thing, your next venture, your next, you know, so like I can't say highly enough, go in, have a go. Even if you fail, like I had another business that I was building and launching, testing, and I didn't end up launching it for a couple of reasons. But what I learned in that, I guess what you could perceive as a failed business, I'm going to apply in such a big way in what I'm doing now. So like your failures can easily become positives. You just can't see it because you're literally in it right now. So embrace failure, go for it, you know? So we just need to have courage, Christine. And like, I think you've built a courage muscle. Like, if your physique was courage, like you'd probably look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know. But we need to have great courage to face failure and see it as a blessing in disguise. Like he says that in the book. And like, far out. Imagine if I just packed up my bags when I've had some of my failures and not seen them as like a tool, like it's just a tool in the toolbox. It's just something that you learned that you can apply somewhere else. Like I've spent a lot of time around amazing culture building people in the network marketing industry. Do you think that I'm not still like watching that big time and going, how the hell can I do that inside my business? How can I make what I'm doing more fun and help them win? And, you know, like, I don't know, Christine, like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
I was going to refer back to when you were talking about, I want to be a CEO that has a world-class culture, and then you went into, you know, your vision of what you wanted to create. Our listeners in that moment would have been like, I'll come and work for you. Like, I was thinking that, oh, I'll come and work for you, Joel. Like, that's a great goal. Like, who wouldn't want an employer that actually cares about their greatest asset? Like, I know so many employers that say the people are their greatest asset and they don't treat them like it, you know, and, or they say something out in public like this is, and then behind the scenes, they're not treating their employees like that. You know, they're undervalued, underappreciated, underpaid. So I love that you brought that up, Joel. And I can't remember what I was going to say after that now.
Honestly, Christine, I want to know what their life, what they want out of their life. So they've got their container that is their life. Whatever they want that container to be filled with my business has to have the capacity to fit that container inside it. Look, I need to set targets. I want to be an industry leader in what I'm doing. So I don't need to keep on banging on that and like hitting them with a stick saying you need to hit these targets. They just need to know what they are. And then it's my job to go in there, know what they want out of life, what that container is, so that I can keep referencing it back, because I'm not going to inspire them, but that will. And then I just got to train. I just got to keep working on them. Like it's something that I've taken from a guy called Marty Vids, Innovate Finance. Like, shout out to those guys. They're legends. That's exactly what he does. He had a guy that he saw super potential in, and he only gets good people. It's just what he does. And this guy was not performing well, and he's so down on himself that he handed in his resignation, and Marty wouldn't accept it. He said, no, what I want you to do is hit your target just for 1 month, and then you can leave. I will work with you. I'll do we'll train. We'll work together side by side. Let's get you to that target. And then if you want to leave, I'll accept your resignation then. Like, who the hell does that? He kept that guy in the game. This guy who couldn't even couldn't even get off go, ended up becoming one of their best, like, I believe it was a mortgage broker, but getting the best finance deals, setting his clients up to win. He was winning, getting good commissions, and the company won, all because Marty cares. You listen, any of his employees, you speak to them, they all just say how great a bloke that guy is. And like, I admire that. And no wonder he's built successful businesses all the way through his life. So like, success leaves clues. I'm literally copying that. I'm not even that, like, see, I'm not even smart. I just copy people that succeed, and I just do it for myself. But like, I also care about people, and I care more about them getting their goals, because if that happens, then they're gonna hang in when the times are tough, and then they're gonna want to, like, so I've got to have the big scaling vision, and I've got to, like, that's the big container, and everything they want's got to fit in. Their containers have got to fit inside the business. Otherwise they will leave or they'll eat the other fish in the tank. You know what I mean? It's just how it is.
This is gold, Joel. It really is. And if you're an employer and you're listening to this podcast right now, I hope you're taking notes, because Joel has just given you the blueprint, the gold nugget on how to create an incredible culture. And I think in this day and age, we need to be more flexible. Like, if people don't have a happy home life, they are not going to come to work productive, inspired, and give you their best. So you need to find out exactly what Joel said. What do they want in life? Now, I know a lot of families that have a lot of special needs kids, and it puts a lot of pressure on that household. And sometimes those people have to drop everything to go and attend to the care and the needs of those children. And there's no structure to their day. Like they try and, live like a normal family and go to work, to a normal job and things like that. But in reality, it doesn't work like that. So we need to be able to provide these environments, these workplaces that allow the flexibility. Like if someone has to duck away from, an organization, if I was running one, to go and attend to a child that's injured or something, as long as they got their work done, or if they came back or they made up for it or whatever, it wouldn't matter. Like, why do we place so many restrictions on people? And I'm seeing more and more though out there that employers are, doing the job sharing, which I think is really, really handy. I've worked for a corporation before where they had really strict rules around employees getting a second job because they wanted their employees to get the rest. They wanted their employees to come back and be productive because we were in the railway profession. Yeah. And we had a lot of guys working on track. Now, you don't want a guy rocking up to do track work in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. or something, tired, bleary-eyed, making mistakes. Like it does. And I have seen it lead to death. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of people and knowing what they want. Now, you might have 100 people working for you in your company, and they've all got different things that they want out of life. And it's not that hard to extract what it is that they want. And I guarantee that if you can help their home life function better, then they will go to battle for you. They will have your back. And I think like what you're saying, Joel, is we have to keep creating those cultures around caring for people. Like, let's start giving a shit about our employees. Let's not just see them as another number in our company, in our organization, in our payroll. Let's actually see them for the potential and the amazing, person that they are, that is giving their blood, sweat, and tears to your business, to your organization. So I love that you went over there, Joel, and sort of spoke about that.
Yeah, and just to really hit this home for this podcast is, it's all well and good that I've got that plan, and I am 100% ready right now, before I've even started, to admit I'm going to get so much of that wrong. I'm going to stuff it up. I'm going to make my staff at times feel not like that. And it's my job to have the humility to go and fix that. So I'm going to hire badly. I'm going to do bad marketing. I'm going to make things worse. Like I'm going to, what we're talking about, fail so many times, but I just know it going out the gate. I haven't even got it kicking yet. I know I'm going to mess it up. And that's with my consulting clients that I help them build their business. That's a big block for people when they're employing people. And then I'm like, I inoculate them. I'm saying, you are going to hire badly. And they're like, oh, well, how do we hire the best person? I said, do your best. You're probably going to hire 5, 10, 15, 20 shitty people that aren't a good fit. And I don't want to say shitty people. They're shitty for the business. They're not shitty people. They just aren't right for your business. They're not going to be a great fit. Guess what? You're never going to get freedom from your business and get the scaling that you want if you're not willing to fail. And that's the thing, they're so scared of failing. They're so scared of it. And I'm like, I can't even think, Christine, over 20 years of how many people I've hired. Like I've probably hired literally thousands of people. And honestly, I probably out of thousands, probably have 20 or 30 that I reckon were a really good fit. I was in an industry where it's, like you hire a lot of people that just come through. It's not really their career path. But what you said, like I treated my staff, and God, did I get it wrong? Because I was young and I was really learning. I didn't have anyone teaching me this on a podcast. I learned through trial and error. I lost really great staff because I wouldn't get rid of the cancerous staff. Like I had 3 or 4 people walk out at once because I wouldn't get rid of this one guy. You know, and it happened multiple times because I'm a slow learner, but you know what I mean? But what I did is I learned to treat my staff with respect and realize that holding the check over their head and hitting them with it, you know, as a big stick was not as helpful as, you know, letting one of my staff members, was a young mum. She was pregnant she must have been pregnant when I hired her even. So that's like something that a lot of people wouldn't do, but I did it anyway. She had extended maternity leave. So, and like kids get sick, daycare, things happen. And I gave her the freedom to just come and go as she pleased because I didn't see her valuing hours. I saw it in value. Like the value she brought, the hours I didn't have to do because I had her there. It's like, and you know what? Like, when it came time to like refurbish the store and I didn't have the money to pay staff to come in and work, well, pizza did it. They came in and ate. I just bought pizzas and multiple staff came and worked in. Like it was that, like, and that was, those things stick in my mind so massively. And just getting back to it, just so you know, all those great plans, they were after so many failures. Like I failed my way to where I'm at today. Like so just know going out the gate, you're going to fail and you will work it out if you don't quit.
Yeah.
So,
and I love one word you said in there, mate, humility. Like I think we're so scared of admitting when we get it wrong, but it can be such a powerful thing when you do. Now, there's been many times that I've got it wrong in my network marketing where I've had to go to the team and go, guys, I just need to really apologize here. Like I dropped the ball on this, or, you know, I just did not get this right. Or I've dropped the ball with my customer care and I've had to send videos to my customers to go, I'm so sorry about my customer care. I really dropped the ball on this, you know? So have that humility, admit it when you get it wrong and move on. Stop beating yourself up. It's when we try to hide it, that's where it starts to build up and build up and build up. And you don't want to have secrets. You don't want to have secrets. So something that I just finished a 2-day social media training, and I suck at TikTok right now. But I've had a few attempts, but now I'm like, okay, I've just got to get in there and give it a crack. Like, you know, I feel like there's like a missing audience over there, and I really just need to sink my teeth in. But I've already told myself, you are going to get it wrong so many times, but who cares? It's not like anyone's sitting there in their home going, look at Christine failing on TikTok. No one cares. Everyone is so caught up in their own drama of their life that they're not even thinking about you. So please don't let failure stop you from trying things. And for me, it comes down to fun. If I'm not having fun, then I'm doing it wrong. So how can you make what you're doing more fun? So then when you are having the failures, you're still enjoying the process anyway. And I think that's something that we've done really well, Joel, is we just keep rocking up, having fun and treating people with that respect, letting them know that we actually care. And that's, you know, that we built a team together, and that was something that they all felt like was part of the culture. And our whole mantra now in our team is leading with love. You know, we absolutely, in everything that we do, we are always leading with love. We want people to feel accepted. We don't want anyone to feel like they're failing. We want people to feel that love and connection, because more than any other time in the history of the world right now, we need it to help heal this planet faster. So if you're listening to this, some key takeaways, I guess, or to give you like a little assignment, I want to give you the assignment of forgiveness. I want you to go back over the last 5 years, or even the last 20 or 30 years. Where is an event in your life that you saw as a failure that you are still beating yourself up about today? And then what I want you to do is go in to that event and forgive yourself. Because isn't it time that you released yourself of that burden and the weight of that is weighing you down, telling yourself you're a bad person, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're a failure? Aren't you sick of that record playing over and over and over again? Don't you want to break that shackle, come out of the shadows and go, finally, I'm free. I've dealt with that. And now you can step into the light. Like, seriously, guys, that's what we want for you. So that's my assignment. It's so hard for us to move forward to succeed if we're still got all this baggage that we're carrying around from our past that we haven't emotionally healed from, that we haven't forgiven ourselves from. And if there's someone that has done wrong by you, and I've got friends and I've got family that have been burnt by business partners or, other people, like family members, things like that, go and send them forgiveness too. Because carrying around that hatred and frustration for so long, that's also holding you back from success and from winning at life. So forgiveness is my assignment for the listeners, Joel. I want them to go away and either forgive themselves or forgive someone that they've still got that charge with.
Yes, the people that have wronged you you perceive have wronged you, they need your love the most. It's easy to love the ones that you love, right? It's the ones that are, doing, the crazy things in life and in the world that, aren't right. They're the ones that need it the most because they've got it wrong. So I guess it's funny, Christine, the way I want to close it out is just something from the book. It's like, it's better to side with the few that are right than the many who are wrong, because in the end, right always wins out. So yeah, you might be listening to what we're saying and thinking, geez, they think differently. There's not many people out there that think like that, but maybe it's better to side with us and, maybe share the podcast. I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. I'm looking, I don't know, Christine, how much money and success I've had by going right when I see the crowd going left. Just don't follow the sheep, and by you going right, you just never know who's also wanting to go right, but doesn't have the courage yet. And they see you do it and they're like, oh, wow, geez, Joel's just a normal guy. He's not that smart. He's just copying someone who's done really well in business. And now he's going to go and do really well. Maybe in 3 or 4 years, they'll go, wow, Joel's doing really well. Maybe I'll give it a go too. Maybe I'll copy him. So that's what I want to say. Follow, don't follow the crowd. Like what my grandmother used to say, be a leader, never a follower. That's it. Have a most outstanding day.
Microphone drop. Boom.
Damn.